Hello, Kentucky Royal Ambassadors. My name is John Otten. I am the Royal Ambassador Consultant for Kentucky. Sun's awfully bright today, so I'm squinting a little bit out here in my backyard. But thank you for joining me for another Campcraft lesson. A few weeks ago, I was tying a knot in one of the previous lessons and said something about I needed to do a lesson on knot tying. And so today's the day for that. This Campcraft lesson, we're going to look at the 3 basic knots that an RA needs to learn. These are part of the requirements for the hiker patch. Information about these 3 knots can be found on pages 50 and 51, as well as page 58 in chapter 3 on ropecraft in the Campcraft manual. Campcraft manual can be downloaded here at www.kywmu.org/campcraft. So I'm going to tie these knots out in front of me, and I want you to be able to see what it would look like if you were holding the rope in your hand and tying them in front of you. So I'm going to switch my camera to the other side of my laptop, and that way you will be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, I've got some rope here. It's actually one piece of rope, and I've got blue tape on one end and yellow tape on the other. That way when I need it to pretend to be 2 different ropes, it can be 2 different ropes. But for now, we're going to use just one end. The end of the rope that you're using to tie a knot, that's called the working end. And then the part back down along the rope is called the standing part. So to tie the overhand knot, you simply take the working end and you make a loop over the top of the standing part of the rope. So there you see my rope passes over the top, and then you just bring the working end up through the loop you've made, and you've tied an overhand knot. Looks just like that. Make an overhand loop, bring the working end up through the loop, and pull it tight. This is a knot that just about everybody knows how to tie. We just referred to it as a knot, put a knot in that rope, we might say. An overhand knot is a type of stopper knot. You use a stopper knot when you put a hole, say in a board, and you pass the rope through it and you don't want it to be able to pull back through. So like on a swing, you've got a board and you put holes in either end. You might pass the rope down through there, and then underneath, you might tie an overhand knot, just like this. And that way, that knot won't pull back up through the hole in that board. So that's the overhand knot. Very simple, basic knot. I'm going to get the other end of this rope now, and we're going to talk about the square knot. Square knot is a type of joiner knot. You use joiner knots to join together the 2 ends of 2 pieces of rope. So the blue is going to be one piece of rope, the yellow the other, and we're going to join them together with a square knot. Now when I tie a square knot, I start with the rope in my left hand, and I lay that over the top of the standing part of the rope in my right hand. And then I take the end of that rope that I just passed over the top, and I wrap it around the end of the standing part. Then I take this end, which is still the same end I started with, but now it's in my right hand, and I lay it over the top of the piece that's now in my left hand, just like that, right over the top. And then I loop it around and through that hole in the middle and then pull it up tight. And that's a square knot. If you hold the rope like this and push, square knot will slide like that. But if you pull on it, it'll pull up tight and secure those two pieces of knot or two pieces of rope together. So let me tie that again. I start with the piece in my left hand, the yellow piece in this case. I lay it over the top of the blue piece and then wrap that piece around, the yellow piece around the standing part. And then I take the piece that's now in my right hand, still the yellow end though, and wrap it around the blue piece that was in my left hand, wrap it around and through that hole in the middle, and then pull it up tight. Some people like to start with their right hand, and that's perfectly acceptable, but you need to make sure that if you start with your right, then your second wrap is with the left, like this. Start with the right, lay it across the left hand one and wrap it around, and then take the piece in your left hand now and lay it over the right hand one and wrap it around. And there again you get a square knot. So if you like to start with your left, you go left hand over right, right hand over left. Or if you start with the right, you go right over left, then left over right. So I go left over right, wrap around, right over left, and there it is. So that's a square knot. Last knot I want to show you is called a clove hitch. And a clove hitch is an insecuring knot where you secure the end of your rope to something else. Most of the time it's a pole or a post or a branch. And so I've got a piece of a branch here that I've nailed onto a board to serve as my post. And I'm going to tie this clove hitch, which is a type of insecuring knot, to this post. You remember that overhand knot we just tied? It starts with an overhand loop like that. We're going to use that overhand loop, but we're going to loop it around this post. So I start with my working end and I wrap it around and over the standing part. I leave plenty of extra here, but there's my overhand loop going around the branch. All right, now I'm going to make another overhand loop, but I'm not going to do it above my first one. I'm going to do it below the first one. So I'm going to take this working end still, wrap it around and over. So you see I have two overhand loops. Here's one overhand loop, and then below it, the second one, another overhand loop. Once I've got that one wrapped around, I just pull those up together and pull it tight. And that's my clove hitch. I'll tie that for you again. Take the end, wrap it around and make an overhand loop around the post. And then take the end and wrap it around again beneath the first one and bring it over the top of itself there. So you have another overhand loop. So one overhand loop there, one overhand loop here, and then tighten it up. And there you go. And so that's the clove hitch. More stress you put on it, the tighter it can get. If there's no stress or tension on it, these knots can work loose sometimes. The benefit of the clove hitch a lot of times is you use it to start what we call lashing. If you need to join together two poles or posts or boards, whether they be in line or whether they're crossed, you use what's called lashing to join those together. And you normally will start your lashing with a clove hitch around one of the pieces of wood that you're using. So you would tie this clove hitch just like that, and that would be the beginning of your lashing. And then very frequently when you finish lashing, you will finish off your lashing with a square knot to tie that off. So anyways, that's how you tie the clove hitch. So those are our 3 basic knots. I'll tie them all for you again real quick. First, the overhand knot. Simply make an overhand loop. Bring the working end up through that loop. Pull it tight. Then we'll tie the square knot. And I start with the left and pass it over the right. And then wrap it around. And take the piece now. It's in my right hand now. Pass it over the left. Wrap it around and through the hole. And there's my square knot. And then finally, the clove hitch again. Take the working end, make an overhand loop around the post. And then make another overhand loop around the post, but beneath the first one. And then pull it up tight. And there you go. All right, I'm going to switch my camera back. Okay, so let's talk about these knots and knot tying and how that relates to the mission lesson today. The lesson today features the Christian Women's Job Corps in Monroe, Louisiana. Christian Women's Job Corps is often referred to as CWJC, and the women who come to CWJC come there for a couple of reasons. One, they learn skills to be a part of making items that are sold through World Crafts. If you remember last week, we talked about a World Craft group that was in Thailand, and they made items that they sold, Christmas ornaments, to help support their families. The women who come to CWJC in Monroe, Louisiana, they print Bible verses and pictures on mugs and other items and sell those as a part of World Crafts and help to support their families in that way. The women also come there and learn skills so that they can pass a test. This test is called the HiSET test. If I understand correctly, that stands for High School Equivalency Test. And it enables these women who, for whatever reason, were not able to finish high school, it enables them to earn a high school equivalency diploma. And so they come there, and the workers at CWJC teach them skills that have to do with English and writing and math and other subjects. And they help them practice those skills and practice for the test. And the women work hard at it. And in their hard work gives them a good result, a positive result, because they're able to earn that high school equivalency diploma. And that makes me think of a verse in the Bible, Proverbs 31:31. It says, "Give her the reward of her labor, and let her works praise her at the city gates." The writer of Proverbs was wanting to say very simply that that women who work hard, who labor hard, deserve to enjoy good results, positive results, and praise for the things that they do through their work. And that's true for everyone. You work hard at something, you practice hard at something, that's how you go about obtaining good results, a positive result. Same is true with knot tying. I just showed you how to tie 3 knots. But if you wait a month to try to tie those knots again, I bet you, other than maybe the overhand knot, you're not going to be able to tie those knots again. They take practice, they take hard work. Sometimes people who are learning knots will sit down while they're watching TV or listening to music or sitting outside, just enjoying the weather and the sunshine and the birds singing. And they'll sit and just tie knots and tie that same knot over and over and over, working on it, practicing it so that it becomes second nature, and they're able to tie it whenever they need to use it in an application. So it takes hard work and practice to be a good knot tyer, just like it takes the women at CWJC hard work and practice to earn money for their family and to also earn their high school equivalency diploma. And the verse says that her works praise her at the city gates. And I want to praise and congratulate the women of CWJC in Monroe, Louisiana, for your hard work. You've done a great job, and I congratulate you on that. So that's our lesson today. Hard work, practice, just like in knot tying, just like at CWJC, just like in most things in life. Hard work and practice brings about good results. And so thank you for joining me for the Campcraft lesson today, and God bless you, and we'll see you next week.